And I'm Guy. And today we're going to talk about Deadpool and Wolverine. I didn't like it, she did like it, but overall it's been a success. Looks like it's going to be $1 billion movie.
One of the few ones in a while. For Disney, at least. I mean, in general, we've been seeing a bunch of crappy movies, but especially in the superhero realm, it's been terrible.
Well, I gotta admit, I don't like superhero movies to begin with, so dragging me out to this thing, the only reason I went was, number one, it was non-woke, because Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman kind of stood up for the movie, so I didn't mind even if it was a bad movie or I didn't like it. I didn't mind lending financial support to it. But number two, you talked about it, and you talked about it, and you talked about it.
I didn't talk about it and talk about it and talk about it, but I've been intent and I love Marvel movies for the longest time. DC, not so much, but since I was little, I wasn't even into the comic books, and I was, a girl, so I'm not the target audience, but for the longest time, I really enjoyed all the X-Men, all of the Marvel ones, up until Endgame. And when Endgame came, it felt like that was essentially the end. They started messing everything up. I did not like Black Panther, and I mean, of course, the second one was even worse. But in general, they just started messing up every single thing that would come out. I mean, now we all know why they were doing that, because they were following an agenda, mostly because of the scores that they need to fulfill with the Human Rights Campaign and other things.
And
that
the
they need
DEI?
to do. Yeah, and bringing in all of that to essentially be a good company, which nowadays is pretty hard not to do if you want to have any sort of financial success. But we've been seeing that when you go woke, you go broke, and Disney has been in a terrible spot for a while now. And they switched CEOs, they've had terrible financial calls.
Well, they started with great franchises with strong male leads, like the guy that had Thor, the Iron
Chris
Man.
Hemsworth.
All these movies where even though I don't like superhero movies, they were reasonably okay, so I could sit through them and watch them. But they took these same strong male leads, gave them millions and millions of dollars to do this woke garbage, and now it's unbearable.
Well, the problem is also it's not just the male leads, because I'm sure they're not super into it, but they have contracts to fulfill. It's more the writers and the people behind the scenes. Kevin Feige, who is the director, like the guy in charge of Marvel, has been steamrolled over by all of these woke writers that he has to bring on, and the diversity hires and all of them have basically steamrolled Marvel into the ground. Same thing happened with Star Wars once Kathleen Kennedy took over. We saw what happened with Gina Carano. Shout out, she's doing really well with her court stuff, and Elon Musk helping her, the free speech issue that got her fired. But we've seen that Disney has been, as everyone else, essentially, bending over for the woke DEI.
Well, I was watching Neurotic earlier today, and he gave a list of like 18 flops in these woke movies, and I did watch the trailers for all these movies. I have to admit, I almost watched 0 of them because they just don't appeal to me. Let's see this list. I actually wrote them down here. We had WandaVision, The Falcon and Winter Soldier, Loki, Black Widow, Shang-Chi, The Internals, Captain Marvel, Hawkeye, Moon Knight, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse, Miss Marvel, Thor, Love and Thunder, not the original Thor, She-Hulk. Thank God they cut her out of the Deadpool because they wanted to put her in. Black Panther without Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, Ant-Man, Quantumania, The Secret...
Do you want me to read them?
Invasion, Secret Invasion, never heard of that. Loki Season 2, The Marvels, and Echo.
I mean, Loki Season 1 was terrible too, but as you were saying, what they've been doing is taking these male characters who are superheroes and essentially putting them down so they can bring up all of the female characters, because that's what's important now. That's what girls want to see. They want to see girl empowerment where there's no sort of fallibility to any of the characters. All of them are perfect. They're all Mary Sues. They're all great at everything, and it becomes incredibly boring, as I mentioned. I mean, I'm a girl who was slightly into superhero movies, not the comic books, so don't shoot me, but I was always really into it. I would go watch the Avengers movie. I went to go see Endgame, when it came out, and my first movie was, I think, Elektra and the X-Men, and I was really into it as a 90s girl. But as soon as Endgame came and went. I mean, they started killing off characters, emasculating.
That's the thing. They're trying to take the masculinity out of masculine characters. And I think the next phase, if I look at it, what do you think the next phase is for these characters?
Well, the thing is now with Deadpool and Wolverine, which is what we were originally talking about, what they plan to do now is completely reverse course. So
I don't think so.
They were going to, yes. There's been some files coming out. So WDW Pro and Valiant Renegade knew this about a year ago, but they've finally been able to come out and say, yes, the plans to switch over a bunch of stuff has started. So now there's going to be, for example, now that they have Wolverine after they bought 20th Century Fox, now that they have the character Wolverine, they might do a 1 or 2 Spider-Man movie.
Okay,
they're starting to bring in the men again.
No. Let me propose something.
Because Captain Marvel, the Marvels, all the girl ones did not work.
Slow your roll. Let me propose something and see if this could be a possibility. The guy that played Iron Man, what's his name again?
Robert Downey Jr.
Robert Downey Jr. Did you hear what he's going to play now?
He is now going to be Doctor Doom.
So, I think that's going to be the twist. They don't want to give up on trying to destroy masculinity, so they're going to turn these main characters into villains. It's going to start with Downey Jr., and I think you're going to see a slew of these other superheroes be portrayed as villains.
I mean, they were being portrayed as incompetent for the fifth phase of Marvel. All of them were incompetent. Loki was useless. All of the girls were the ones that were really in power. And they're creating, even though they're superheroes, I mean, they're creating incredibly baseless and naive and boring characters with all these women.
You can look at woke Hollywood and see what they're trying to do. They're trying to get rid of right and wrong, and superhero movies are based upon right and wrong. So to start switching actors and switching characters from good to bad to this and that, they want to try to totally disintegrate what right and wrong is in Marxist style ideology.
Well, what I think with at least Robert Downey Jr. is that the paycheck was way too good, and what he was getting when he was at Marvel was way too good that just staying dead is not possible. Same as what Deadpool says in this movie himself. He said that they're gonna make Wolverine do this until he's 90 because, I mean, the paychecks are just way too good.
Wait, well, what happened with Johnny Depp? Is he doing Pirates, or what happened with that?
Well, no, because he doesn't want to because of the way they treated him.
Okay, at least somebody has some backbone.
I don't know, because we've seen him in the parks not that long ago after his whole court case issue with Amber Heard. He was seen at the parks. He was seen talking with with Disney, but who knows? I mean,
I think Disney is in a transition phase where audiences are forcing them out of DEI, but they're gonna cling on for dear life because they are infested with.
Well, they've allowed themselves to be, and they've gotten rid of. Not only, I know a lot about Disney for some reason, because I'm extremely sad because I am bring back original, make Walt Disney's Disney again, but they're not only doing this with the movie franchises, the movie people, the Star Wars, which now they have completely destroyed. They're doing it with the parks too. So they got rid of all of the good Imagineers, the old, really knowledgeable that had created all of these great theme park rides and all of these great experiences. They got rid of them, and now they're bringing in forced diversity with people that have no idea what they're doing, and they're trying to destroy all of these legacy pieces and points within the parks, for example.
Well, I had proposed this, and I almost think Disney is intentionally tanking the stock of the country. So, taking the stock,
probably too.
taking the stock of the company,
yes.
So a large investor can come in and buy it, like Apple. Apple would most likely, they're the ones rumored that would step in and
and they've had this relationship with Pixar for a long time. I mean, they started at the same time essentially with Steve Jobs and John Lasseter kind of joining forces and eventually letting Disney come back in and working with them because they fought for a while. I mean, that might be an option. We talked about it last year on our my Snow White video. I mean, what's happening with Snow White right now? We don't even know. We know they did a bunch of reshoots. They got rid of all the woke, weirdo, hipster dwarf things, and now they're bringing in dwarves, I think. That was the last thing I heard about it. But they're struggling, and they're realizing they're struggling, but now they've dug a hole so deep that they can't really do anything.
Well, their struggles are another company's success, because Universal with their theme parks in Florida.
Yeah, with Epic Universe,
it's looking phenomenal.
It's gonna look great, and Universal now finally has a chance to be the main reason people go to Florida. It used to be for Disney, and then you would spend a day at Universal. But I mean, going back to Deadpool and Wolverine, I think this might be a way for Disney to be like, oh, see, like we can do edgy, non-woke stuff. We can make fun of ourselves. We can.
Yeah, but there was still a lot of woke crap. There was still a lot of woke crap shoved into the movie, even though people don't want to admit it. But
yes, and I did see that, and I mean, spoilers for anybody that hasn't seen it and wants to see it. And this isn't really a review; it's more of a review of Disney and how it's doing. But go ahead.
It is $1 billion movie. It looks like it's on track to be that, and I think it took the number 10 spot for best opening weekend. It might actually go higher than that, because I don't think all the box office numbers were quite.
No, we're still waiting for box office numbers.
But $1 billion movie, Disney needed it, and I mean, I don't know if they're willing to learn from this lesson, but it's very obvious people like me that don't even like superhero movies are willing to go support Ryan Reynolds because he's a non-woke actor, or at least that's what he portrays.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a different movie too. It's not the same recycled thing we get all the time, but they did make fun of it by incorporating the multiverse. Even though the writing was pretty weak in the movie in general, and I agree with that. The villain wants to destroy the whole world. This is what happens each time. But the fact that they decided to do a little bit of fan service, a little bit, with all of the cameos and all of the people coming back and all of the inside jokes and laughing at 20th Century Fox being bought by Disney, all of those things worked. But I mean, the story still isn't there because they don't have the good writers anymore. If
I was to review the movie, I'd say there was way too much parody in it. I like it when it's sprinkled on there, and it was way too big of a movie with not enough consequences. Nobody was really dying. You weren't losing characters. I like Deadpool in a much smaller scale, more intimate scale. It just seems more real. He's that kind of character. I don't like to see him in this overblown action movie. But
yeah, and I mean, he works best when he's interacting with, I guess, the audience and with himself and his own thoughts. But I think it worked being bloated because it showed that, yes, you can bring back a lot of people and cameos and things, just the story was completely missing. It felt like they were focusing too much on making it big, and like a Marvel movie, like the third one, they keep getting more bloated as they go with each of the movies they come out with, like the Avengers, for example, or any of the other ones. So it did feel a bit like, okay, let's do things just to do it because we can. But other things worked. I mean, the parody of Furiosa basically was hilarious.
I didn't like it. And as much as
it just came out.
As much as I didn't like the movie, I am glad it did extremely well. And I hope Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman are all the best, and I hope their future movies are going to be good as well.
Yeah, and let's hope Disney turns a page. The sad thing is that because of these box office numbers, we're going to have a conference call with reviewing all the finances of Disney on Wednesday. That's when they're having their quarterly meeting or business call. So we'll see where the numbers lead them. But there's going to be a lot of bloating, and I think that's not the lesson that Disney needs to learn right now, because it's just going to tell everybody, oh, what we're doing is great and fine, and let's keep doing the agenda that we were doing instead of.
Yeah, there's going to have to be a takeover on
way too much.
There's going to have to be a takeover on that board, but I think
they tried and they haven't been able to. But I mean, I guess for now we'll see. We'll wait till Wednesday, see what happens with the conference call. But for now, see you soon.
Adios.